Monocracy Audio LLC presents The Ascendant Project. The mission of the Ascendant Project is to explore the origin of political, philosophical, and spiritual positions in individuals. A contributor writes a 750-word essay and then gets interviewed. The purpose of the interview is to bring out other views and hopefully life experiences that sent the author down the path to the position expressed. It is not intended to be a forum for debate, but rather a project to better explore and understand the American experience. All opinions and views expressed, written or verbal, are not necessarily the opinion of the podcast nor Monocracy Audio LLC. They are also not intended to malign anyone or any organization. It is our hope that personal growth is the result, as well as a greater appreciation for new, unique, and differing points of view. Join us on this journey to ascend to a higher state of consciousness. Record.
Brian,
Julius.
welcome. How are you?
Is that my name?
Is this a Freaky Friday?
Is this a
Freaky Saturday?
Freaky Saturday? I gotta twist my nipples.
Don't do that to me. Thank God this is explicit.
Oh yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that GoPro footage will be burned.
Yep. It'll go right into that spank bank.
Oh God. No, that's a future episode. What's that?
What did you do? You did that for
that's for Kirsten's episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's going to be like, because of this episode, now it's like bumped even further. So
right.
It's like going to be like the last weekend.
Oh, so this really is just a something special for us to share.
This is something special because, what's the point of having a No Kings episode about No Kings protest in June?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, this one's jumping the line. Which pushes everybody back.
Jump in the line.
Yeah. What?
Jump in the line. Rock your body in time. Okay, I believe you. Isn't that?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Yeah.
It's Jimmy Buffett, right?
God, no.
Who is that?
That is like so before Jimmy Buffett.
Is it?
Yeah.
It can't be that much before it.
Oh, totally. It has to be.
All right. Look it up.
We're going to
bring it up on the big screen.
Look this up. All right. What is it called? Jump the Line?
I think so.
Okay. I believe you. Harry Belefonte.
Oh, yeah.
And this song, let's see here. Shake, 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 Sonora, 1961.
1961.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think my first exposure to it, and I think most people's first exposure to it, was probably in Beetlejuice, though.
I had heard the song before then.
Sure.
But that's the one
popularized, we'll say.
Well, no, it was definitely popularized before then.
Yeah.
I think it had a resurgence with Beetlejuice. But I mean, I was born in 73, so, obviously it had it shook the world in, 12 years before.
Right.
But, which is weird, in terms of perspective, because growing up, I guess this kind of keys into the whole previous episode about, today's world through the Cold War lens. But growing up, I really didn't become like culturally or politically awake really until I was age 10. That's when I was beginning to wake up. That's how it was
for me. Yeah.
So anything before that was 10 years before I was born was ancient history. So 10 years before I was born was Kennedy being assassinated.
Yeah. Wow.
But that seemed like just something you read in a book.
Right.
Because it was before I was born. But it was actually really recent to where I was born. And I didn't really appreciate that until I was much older about how what the world was when I was born into it.
Yeah.
I
mean, even events like we talked, I think, in the last episode we recorded. I mentioned something about Chernobyl, or maybe it was an episode before that.
Yeah.
And Chernobyl happened during my lifetime, but I don't really. It still doesn't feel. I was probably only like 4 years old,
Yeah.
when it happened. So, it wasn't. It still even then felt like something I read about in a history book and not something I experienced or lived through.
And it's something that I really didn't really appreciate as much whenever I was, going through it, because here, USA, USA, USA. And I seem to remember there being press conferences where people were kind of laughing about Chernobyl a little bit. Because, USA, 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 look at Russia, they're having this horrible nuclear problem.
Yeah.
And
never mind the fact that we were being irradiated too.
Yeah. But now I understand a lot more about how close, and how absolutely horrible it was. I mean, that HBO movie really helped out with that. But
and how truly close we were to international catastrophe.
Yeah. 100%. Anyway, this is all about no kinks.
Yes.
And we're talking about Cold War.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. Yeah, we suck. So, was it already just one weekend ago?
It was 1 weekend ago. Actually, less. I mean, 1 weekend, but less than a week technically, right? Was it? Or no, it was
a Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Today's a Saturday.
Yeah.
So 1 week ago today.
Yep. So, you
6 days and 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
Indivisible brought into this nation a new protest.
Was that the organizer, Indivisible? I guess it was.
Indivisible, I think, is a big one. I think 50-51. I mean, that's one of the things I kind of wanted to bring up is it's a decentralized movement, which is great and it's horrible all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's great in terms of its grassroots. It's horrible in terms of getting crowd numbers and good information about what's really, really going on as far as after the event goes.
Yeah.
What actually happened.
Yeah.
And it's also not really that great in terms of, what we want out of it.
Right.
But because it's not really a focused agenda. Yeah, it's a very simple message. We don't want any kings. We don't want any thrones. And now they're adding, we don't want any camps. So those sort of things, yeah, that's great. We're all coming out to support that. But are you proposing any legislation that a group of candidates would need to sign on to for this fall in order to get the endorsement of the movement?
Right. Well,
are you just squandering this political capital that you have?
Right. Well, yeah, I have questions about all this, but why don't we start? You went to the protest in Frederick.
Yes.
Yeah. I went to the protest in Westminster.
Yeah.
I'll admit, I didn't have a sign. I wasn't really I was there. I wouldn't say I was a participant so much. I mean, although I wanted to be counted, but I felt more like an observer. Yeah. Personally. I don't what was your motivation?
Yeah. My motivation initially was there to show up and be counted. So, I used the handkerchief that I got at the DC No Kings, a few months before.
Right.
So I wore that on my head, but once I was there, since I didn't go with anyone, and with me, I'm really socially awkward in groups of more than 4 people. Anyway.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I feel like I've never experienced. Maybe
that's because
you and I have never really been in
a group of 5.
I think probably the only larger group I think, as I'm recalling, is probably your birthday. Was that your?
Well, yeah, my birthday, my 50th birthday.
Yeah, your 50th or 40th.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Were you at my 50th birthday?
Yes.
We rented out the
pavilion.
The pavilion.
Yeah. At the park.
Yeah. So you weren't at the 45th one though.
I was. I was at.
That was Ben Street.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
So were you there for the joke that I told?
I told probably, but I don't remember. I don't remember it. What was it?
It was the bird joke.
The bird joke?
Yes.
Oh wait, maybe no. You have told me this, but I still don't. Go ahead. Say it.
It's a joke that would have to be on camera.
Oh, okay. Well, we're recording.
We're recording on camera.
We could snip it and. and add it to the...
Okay, well, we'll do that later.
All right, fine.
We'll do that later.
Well, so getting back to No Kings.
No Kings, yes.
What was the turnout like in Frederick?
I think the turnout, I mean, and this is the thing about crowd sizes, is you can only really estimate unless you're like doing tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
Which maybe is something they might want to do, but once again, that kind of defeats the purpose. Oh, you need a ticket for a protest? No. Right. I mean, it really hinders the whole process in that. But you almost kind of need something like that. So it was at the Bandshell in Frederick, Maryland, and the seats there were full.
Okay.
And those hold 500.
It's like an outdoor amphitheater for anyone who's not familiar.
Yep. Yeah. So the seats there were full, and there's 500 seats there. Right. If I took that crowd sitting down, I could do another one to the left and another one to the right of people standing.
Okay.
So that means it should be probably around 1,500, maybe more.
Right.
But once again, you're standing and you're not necessarily, you're not necessarily as packed as you are sitting down, and in other areas you're more packed than you are sitting down.
Right.
So once again, it's kind of hard for me with my one eye to really fully estimate, but I'm guessing, between 1,500 and 2,000 just on my own.
Right. And that's just at the amphitheater, because there were things that happened afterwards too.
Well, things that happened afterwards, I think, came out of that crowd.
Yeah.
So you had the march down Market Street.
I mean, I remember you making observations and messaging me and saying like, there was a lot of the crowd, I assume, at the amphitheater was mostly older.
Yeah,
they
seem to be older still.
The march seemed like much more younger.
Yeah. But also, I need to keep in mind about the nature of these protests. When I went down to D.C. for that one, I got there only an hour early and was in the front row. And hundreds of thousands of people showed up for that one.
Yeah, wow.
So everybody showed up at the last minute. How the frack do you wind up getting hundreds of thousands of people show up at the last minute?
Yeah,
for
just
a protest?
Converging.
Yeah.
So,
but it happened peacefully and all that. What do you know? If people are of like mind, then things can happen. You can still have orderly chaos.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it did seem older to me, but then when you look at the footage of the people walking down the street of Market Street, who have more energy, obviously, right? Because it takes more energy. Yeah, there you go. The crowd was a lot younger. I went there to participate, but I wound up mostly being an observer.
Right.
I kind of had a little bit of a problem with the agenda, because they would have like a speaker or two, and then they played music for like 10 minutes or whatever. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go to a rally. I want to go to a protest.
Uh-huh.
And it just seemed like a rally feel. And so I wound up leaving about a half hour into it because, I had skipped breakfast and lunch and all that because I was like doing sound editing all morning.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things about me is everything is chaotic. I'm all squirrel, chasing whatever, get easily distracted until I get into a project, and then it's hyper focus.
Right.
And I wound up skipping meals and crap.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened that morning. So at that point, I'm starving. So I'm like, all right, well, this is a rally, not a protest. So I wind up leaving, and I go to Bushwallers, where I have fish and chips. And there, as I'm finishing up my meal, and I paid the check, and I'm about to walk out the door, and I then walk out the door, and there I see the beginning of the march.
Right.
And I'm like, and that just made my day. That made my day, because that's the type of crap I'm looking for. I'm looking for the people to make a statement, not people to be sitting and standing looking at a stage for direction. No, I want people making the statement.
Yeah.
I want the action, so that made my day. So I took video footage of that and walked against the grain. And I took a photograph of the very beginning of it. I think I was the only one in the area with a photograph of the front of the Frederick March.
Nice.
So, yeah, I was very happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember in your audio you said it was about fucking time.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did. Because that totally, encapsulates my attitude of my frustration that day about, it's a freaking rally.
Right.
And I was feeling really let down about that. And so, yeah, it was about fucking time that, the people started doing something. And I really do appreciate No King's effort and focus on keeping everything positive, because you really do not want to give Trump an excuse to declare martial law, because he would love to. Hegseth would just love to talk about protesters and talk about the left like he talks about Iran.
Right.
And yeah, fuck him. We're not going to do that. We're going to stay positive, and we're going to stay positive while saying fuck you at the same time, if you can do that. And that's kind of like, that contradiction is sort of No Kings.
Yeah. Did you see any like rabble rousers, people trying to kind of...
There were a couple fuck Trump chants that, I think I caught one on the video.
Yeah.
But for the most part, and then actually that video kind of shows, that happened. And then further down the crowd, you heard the person yelling, what happened to the love? Let's stay positive, as they're marching. That's also in the footage. So, but yeah, I didn't really see any rabble rousers. I don't think anybody's really they aren't really trying to do that. They're just trying to make sure that we're visible, that we aren't sitting back and just taking it and accepting it and becoming complacent.
Right.
People say, what doesn't matter, about these protests? What do they really accomplish? Well, the most accomplishment that happens actually is on the inside, and that you aren't being compliant, that you aren't being complacent. You aren't endorsing what's going on. You're making your voice known. So the very first part of why it matters comes from within you, because just like we had the episode about about the First Amendment, how it starts with thought and then moves to written word, and then moves, speech, and all the way down to the movement. That's the same thing with the protest. It starts with you. So that's where it matters first, is within your own mind. And then you're letting people know how you feel and that sort of thing. So that's why First Amendment's important. That's why protesting is important. That's why, you always need to make your opinion known. So that way you're responsible for the situation, if you will.
Right. To give you the rundown of my experience in Westminster. So I've seen or watched like a lot of protests in Westminster. It's, Westminster is a pretty politically active community.
Mm-hmm.
And there are probably reasons for that. I'm not going to conjecture what they are, but the point being, like, this was easily the biggest one, and I think the first one I've seen right in front of the Carroll County government, like office building.
Yeah.
So massive protests. Right next to that office building is also the Carroll County Police and Sheriff's Office. There's a lot of stuff there. I went with my 15, soon to be 16-year-old daughter and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, who is not he's definitely a Trump supporter or ICE supporter, one or the other. But he came to show support for my daughter, and
good for him.
Yeah. I also went because I wanted my daughter to see that protests are not something to be afraid of. Not every protest turns violent. Even the protests that do turn violent, typically that happens. There's like a small number of people who are like off at the edge of the crowd somewhere, and they just want to cause trouble. So I'll admit, like my daughter was really kind of scared to go. Like, she was not enthusiastic about being dragged along by her father. But once we got there and she saw the people, like, she was very comfortable, very happy to be there. She felt like she was part of something.
Good.
Yeah. And I think this is something that, we can talk about and get into a little bit. Like, the demographics of the crowd, like you mentioned, a lot of the people at the amphitheater seemed like they were older, white, and I feel like most of the crowd in Westminster was older and white. There were certainly like minorities. I think honestly there were a good number of, I think I want to say the crowd probably skewed more female even than male, but
well, that's actually pretty indicative of liberal politics, actually.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I mean, like this was, so there wasn't a march in Westminster. There wasn't any like public speaker in Westminster. It was pretty much just lots of people lined on either side of the road right in front of the county government. And there were people just constantly going. And you'll see in some of my videos, just cars going, as they're driving up the street, honking their horn, showing their support. There was, so it was fairly loud. It was definitely the loudest protest I've seen in Westminster, just in terms of, people, shouting support. I can't say there were like a lot of chants, but the cars honking their horns and everything too.
So mind if I give you some homework?
Go ahead.
All right. So your mission, should you choose to accept it,
okay,
would be to figure out who the organizer was, reach out to them and get them to write an essay and get on here.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah.
I want to say it was the League of Women Voters.
Yeah.
Was the primary organizer. And, this was something else that was different between the Westminster and Frederick protests. You mentioned like being, doing tickets and stuff like that. The League of Women Voters was handing out stickers. Yeah. They were just handing them out. And they were vigilant. Like there were a lot of them, and they were like checking everyone. Whether you had a sticker yet or not, right? They would come up.
So they wanted a hard count.
Yeah. So they're trying to get as close to a hard count as they could.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. I mean, it's like if you go to nokings.org, there's nothing about
this
counts.
Is one of the most frustrating things. Like you and I have talked about. Like the published numbers are 8 million, which is the biggest in US
with
history,
some of them saying like 8.5.
Yeah,
I'm not. I kind of tend to dispute that because I've been reading something, and let me hit this right here: Earth Day protests. If I can type.
Yeah.
1970, 3 years before I was born. So ancient history. 20 million.
Oh wow. Okay, but it was a massive, okay. I
Rallies, stand-ins, teach-ins, demonstrations. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you're having people make speeches at the Bandshell, that's a rally. Yeah, you might be holding your signs and all that, but and listening to, anti-Trump music, but it's a rally.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like a protest is good trouble. The riot's bad trouble.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
There's a difference. Yeah, I feel that there's a fundamental difference there. Because with a rally, you're mostly listening. You aren't doing anything.
Right. Sure.
I feel like there's an action with a protest. And if you're just there to look at speakers, it's not really that much of a protest, with the exception of the protest. Well, the protest is in the numbers. Yeah, I guess you can say that for a little bit, but come on, man.
Right.
I want to tell somebody my opinion, damn it.
Well, so, and I have a bunch of questions about this, honestly. I don't know if you want to pull it up real quick, but, like what is the point? Like, what are we arguing for? What is, are people being moved on either side?
Right.
Because there were plenty of, at least in Westminster, there were plenty of people driving up and down the street yelling, love Trump, like showing their support for the administration. And
that's good.
Right. And that's fine. Everyone was civil. I mean, except that they were shouting at each other, but but nobody was being offensive per se. I think it was just like,
one thing I haven't seen in a while.
What's that?
Trump flags.
Yeah, I haven't really seen any much either.
Yeah,
certainly none hanging off of the back of an F-150.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen many, but
kind of nice. Anyway.
So what would you? Well, okay, let's.
In his defense,
yeah,
Trump has lasted longer than the Confederacy.
Well, yeah, okay, that's true. And he did, in fact, rise again. I guess. Whatever.
Oh, geez, did you see the his spiritual advisor speech comparing Trump to Christ?
No. Oh my God. Oh, I think I did hear about this. Was like just a few weeks ago now.
This was right? No, this was like 2 days ago.
Oh. I mean, every day feels like a week now, so who knows? It could have been. No, but what was it?
Yeah. Like she gave a whole litany about, comparing the life of Trump to the life of Christ.
Wow.
It was like horrible. Joe Scarborough went off on it yesterday on Good Friday.
Just incredible.
Just horrible.
Yeah.
But the other thing about Good Friday, though, is in the words of, the Klingon prophet, Kalis, when it comes to Easter eggs, yeah, Good Friday is a good day to die.
Well, then I guess it was good. I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah. But well, let's back up a little bit. What does no kings mean to you?
No kings is it's not the best name in the world for a movement, in my opinion.
We haven't had a king since 1776, Brian.
Yeah, well, how different is it from the Tea Party? I mean, really. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. So you're going to name your protest movement about the Boston Tea Party, about calling this dressing up as Indians so they can pin it on them,
right?
Dumping British tea away. But in either case, it's a protest against tyranny. Whether one was a monarchical form, and the other one is saying this guy's becoming a monarch, trying to become a monarch. Both are really having the same message from two opposite sides of the political aisle. So you can mock no kings if you want, but if you were okay with the Tea Party, which basically became MAGA,
yeah,
it's kind of a hollow argument, but you kind of got to be a deep thinker to get that far. You can't. Most people, they'll just go with the shallow part. So, right. And because most politics, as much as this show tries to go run deep and run into the personal or run into the history.
Yeah,
we're pissing into the wind because most politics is bumper sticker, and that's the reason why Tea Party 2 words, no kings 2 words, and it encompasses more than that. But how do you express that? You want to express it as simply as you can, and
hyperbole is something that is really lost
and it cheapens
on the American public right now. Like, come on, guys. Like,
hyperbole.
Right, hyperbole. It's like, come on. It's just an exaggeration to prove a point. Like, just get past it, and then let's have a discussion about what this really, what we think this really means.
What Rush Limbaugh used to call it, demonstrating absurdity by being absurd. So, I don't know. Neither here nor there.
So this is what no kings means to you. That
for me, what no kings really means is that it's a expression for me to, it's an avenue, for me to express my displeasure and that I want some change.
Okay.
And that I don't stand for what's going on. I don't endorse what's going on. I want to let it known that I'm against what's going on. And if anybody should ask me, I'd give them the reasons, and I'd give them some in-depth reasons, And some of them aren't political. I mean, one of them is just Trump's just a bad manager. He's always been a bad manager. And you got to be a good manager to be president. And he put like Hegseth. He's also a horrible manager. I mean, forget the politics of it. I mean, the way he's running things is just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Just
and that's not political. That's just job performance.
Yeah, Pam Bondi was just fired. Nikki Haley fired just was it?
Yeah,
like 3-4 weeks ago now.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, and like getting back to what No Kings is about.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at Trump's cabinet meetings.
Yeah, it's all getting jerked off.
It's getting jerked off. It's all about, oh, you're so great. No president has done this before.
Right.
You're finally doing all this. And like, dude, it's.
And then you have all the.
It's ski poles over there, man.
Right. And then you have all the business leaders, whatever, like a year ago.
And I will definitely put a link to the Shoresy episode that comes from. Ski poles?
Ski poles? Yeah.
Where you can see the motion. Anyway, yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, I feel like the optics of all of it are not great. Like, it definitely feels like people showing fealty and loyalty.
Yeah.
Simply because he's president and not.
I'm sorry,
for any reason based on merit.
If I'm president, I want to get freaking briefed at a cabinet meeting, and I want it so that way I can understand what's going on and not being praised about how freaking great I am.
Right.
That's the shit kings do. That's the shit dictators do. That's not what a president does.
So,
yeah.
So. I'm sure people will want to say or
also supports bad management right there.
Yeah. I mean, like, to me, like, you can't run the government like it's the fucking Apprentice. Like, we're gonna kick a new person off and like every fucking week, month, whatever it is. Like, come on, there's got to be some stability. Like, that's what I honestly think. That's what the people really want. They want a stable government. But like, I'll ask the question just because I'm
Is there
sure
going to be a
don't.
secret room where the Defense Department fucks the Department of Interior?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, who's to say there isn't one already?
Yeah.
But just because I'm sure, like, if I don't ask the question, the people will say, is any of it illegal?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, none of it's illegal, but that's
kind of not the point.
It's not the point. It's against the norms. It's against our values.
And this is, I think,
against what we're founded on.
Right. And I think, and we've talked a little bit about this too. It's like we're here to talk about what we want going forward. Not to relitigate every point in the past. Like, I just want it. Can we just agree that this is maybe not the type of thing we want?
Yeah.
And find a way to fix the system for future generations.
I mean, for all the talk about liberals being communists and socialists, you have to realize that with democracy itself, it's about power to the people.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want power to the people, you want power to an elite few.
For the individual.
And you want power to an individual like a tyrant or a king.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's just the definitions of the forms of government, But I mean, No Kings, I think, is just mostly an avenue to vent frustration. Yeah.
So you would view it more as an opportunity for people to be counted and share their opinion, but not necessarily to organize for anything further. And
that's the way it is right now because it's a grassroots movement.
Right.
I want it to be more. I mean, it's obvious that politicians are using it to try to take the Senate and harness that energy to take the Senate and take the House. But nonetheless, I mean, I just feel that it needs to be more. Like with the contract with America, I mean, that didn't have a protest movement necessarily associated with it, like in 94. But I loved the idea of, being able to nationalize these local elections with a document saying this is what we're going to do nationwide. And if you don't do it, vote us out. That's how Gingrich got the Republican Revolution through. This is an opportunity for leaders to do something like that, saying this is what we're going. We've heard you guys at No Kings. These are the items we're going to accomplish in this next session after we're elected. If we don't do it, vote us out. I want that sort of political courage and that political definition coming from our leadership. That's leadership. That's also serving. That's servant leadership, doing that. That's absent from the Democratic Party. We want our Democratic Party to fight, but in order for that to really happen, the Democratic Party needs focus, and they need a plan.
So does I have, looking at this kind of from the the alternative perspective. Does the No Kings has been very kind of fluid, if you will. It's very abstract.
It is,
but has that abstraction allowed 8 million people to join in? Like if there was a a statement of like these are the things we want, does that fracture the movement and or otherwise like make people feel like, oh, I'm not welcome as part of this group because this is what they want and I don't want one or two of those things, so I'm obviously not part of this group anymore.
Maybe. I mean, maybe the lack of definition is helping them somewhat, but at the same point in time, I mean, I just feel that we want accountability. Here I am speaking for a movement that has no speaker. We want accountability and we want change, I mean, yeah.
So one thing that you and I discussed earlier this week, as we talk about change and what we want to, what we want to change.
Thank you for picking up what I threw down.
So like Montana, right? We talked about Montana has a very interesting referendum, which Robert Reich actually posted a short video to YouTube about. Robert Reich, who was Clinton's former something or other. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
So fairly, I wouldn't say he's...
I think he's a third, right?
I think...
yeah, Secretary of Labor. Yep.
Yes, yeah. But, he's fairly liberal. I wouldn't say he's like far left, but, he's fairly liberal. But he spoke very positively about this referendum in deep red Montana.
Yes.
Yeah. The idea being, the goal is ultimately to prevent corporations from being able to engage in political speech.
Right.
And your first reaction is, didn't we have a Supreme Court case about this? Citizens United,
right?
Via the Federal Election Commission, which allowed, ultimately the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Citizens United in saying that corporations were allowed to engage in essentially unlimited political speech, meaning they could spend money, however much money they wanted, on political campaigns, advertisements, whatever, with impunity, right?
Right.
The Federal Election Commission had previously capped that. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't infringe on the speech rights of a corporation because corporations are
people too,
essentially people. But
just like my dog,
right? Your dog, your non-existent dog.
Our pets are people too.
Pets are people. Yeah. I mean, they're not human people.
They're not human people.
Whatever.
They're members of the family. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But Montana had a very interesting idea, which was to say, you have to have the power to do something before you can have the right to do it.
To exercise
that power. Just the same way you might have the power to, break the window here in my office, but you don't have the right to do that.
Right. And since corporations are a entity that's
state,
created.
Right. They are created by the states.
They can, exactly.
So Montana can say, we're taking away that power. You have the right to spend with impunity, but we are taking away that power from you to be so you don't have if you don't have the power to spend money as a corporation on political speech, then the right is effectively moot.
Right. Kind of like how in Monty Python Life of Brian.
Yeah.
I guess it was the People's Front to Judea. No, that was the one they hated. The Judean People's Front passed a resolution giving one of their members the right to have a baby, even though he was male, born male, biologically male, even though he didn't have the power.
Right. So it's like, thanks. I have the right to carry a child, but if you don't have the power to do so, then it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So we immediately after No Kings, I think on the same day, even you and I were talking about, or even before, like we were talking about constitutional amendments we might want. But there may be ways to, incite change without, having to pursue a constitutional amendment.
Well, I mean, definitely one of the ones that I want.
Yeah.
Is
a big part of what you had mentioned was campaign finance reform.
And that would definitely, I like to see compacts and stuff like that getting around it at that point. The other thing is that I want, that I think would require a constitutional amendment, even though, actually it might not require a constitutional amendment. It might just require a court case to overturn the law. Because the Constitution says that the House of Representatives should be about one rep for every 35,000 people. It's a law that made it otherwise.
Right.
And so now the ratio is about one representative in Congress for every 750,000 people.
Yeah, which is insane.
Over 20 times the ratio that was envisioned by Congress.
And it's huge by comparison to other countries too.
Yeah.
I'll just add that. Yeah.
And so what I would want is to have it overturned. Have that overturned. That's probably going to be the best way to do it. I probably should just start writing letters to ACLU or something like that, just to do it. Just in Cato Institute. I'm sure this could be easily a joint case between the conservative Cato Institute and that liberal ACLU. I could see both of those organizations getting behind this. And, to get for more representations to their people. And I need the Lions to form Voltron. I think this is going to be a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally on board with this. I think, as you and I have talked, and I'll state here, I think I think Congress is in like desperate need, and I use desperate deliberately, desperate need of reform in that regard. Where the separation between any one of us and our representative is enormous. It's like there's but by reducing that, we can at least change it to like, okay, I don't necessarily know my representative directly, but maybe I know someone who knows someone who knows my representative. So there's a path for me to be able to talk to someone, with the power to enact change directly. Whereas right now it would just basically be impossible. Like you can tweet at someone, but who
reads that?
Right. Are these people and you even had the experience because you were writing a letter to was it Van Hollen?
What the letter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had written. Actually, I've gotten a response, I think, from Van Hollen at one point. But I had did an email to. He was fighting cancer when he was an impeachment manager. I see his face.
I wish I could help you here.
Handkerchiefs, even during the impeachment proceedings, on his head. Representative Maryland used to be my rep. I have his voicemail.
Yeah.
Anyway. Gosh. I can't believe I'm going to freaking look this up. I'm brain farting on this guy. He's like one of my favorite people in terms of politics. Maryland reps. Raskin.
Yep.
Yeah, I had written Raskin. And he actually called me back. I hope I still have the voicemail. I just updated my phone. I know I backed it up to Drive, so I know I have it somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, he called me back and said there are some separation of powers issues with my idea or whatever. Right, but I was really freaking awesome. And I was really touched that.
I mean, that's awesome that
I moved the needle because there was a discussion on Capitol Hill from my idea. Right. Didn't go anywhere, but I had them talking about it. So, which means means there might be a subset of that idea that got into something else.
Maybe. That would be pretty cool.
My idea didn't get through, but maybe an ingredient in the cake did.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but but that is something that is, incredibly special, and certainly most Americans I don't think have that experience. I've certainly never had it happen to me.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I've really tried, but
Don't ever write a form letter, dude. Just write it yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot more effect if they show that if you're serious. Van Hollen, I had written to him.
I thought it was, but who was it you were writing on Saturday though?
Saturday, I was writing to April McLean Delaney.
Okay.
Yes, who's running? I did not vote for ICE commercials on our local feed on Comcast Xfinity
because she spoke at the second.
Yes, and you were there, and people were booing her for what?
For her voting for ICE. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So of course she has.
I think we have footage of on the website somewhere.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but as far as what I want to have happen from No Kings, I certainly think.
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. Yes, I think. But I would agree with you that I think we need congressional, reform.
Yeah,
we need to
100%.
And for the people who are we just don't have enough space. It's come on, we can make a satellite campus somewhere. I don't care. It doesn't people can Zoom. I mean,
not only that, but I mean, I can see having those satellite campuses for regional committees.
Yeah, sure.
Because I mean, what I'm freaking proposing, was bringing it at least down to 1 to 100,000, which would
still be a huge improvement.
Your vote would be 7 times more potent for your House race than it is now.
Right.
And there would be a lot harder to gerrymander that. And that's 7 times more Congress people that a corporation has to buy off for their tax break.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. This is my thinking as well.
So it fights corruption. It gives you more power. I just see upside in this. I mean, I know it's going to cost. I don't have no problems them spending $1 billion to build a new Capitol to house this, as opposed to the however amount money they're looking to use for a ballroom that nobody wants.
Yeah, or the $1.5 trillion that was just requested to pursue a war with Iran.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing right there. I mean, you want to talk about No Kings. What does No Kings mean to me? The military budget we have right now, I think, is at least more than the next 20 countries combined.
Yeah.
If not every country combined. Yeah. A $1.5 trillion budget. When I see that, a budget increase for that, there's a part of me, I don't know if this is true or not, but there's just a part of me that just has, he just wants to fucking take over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, why else are you spending that much on defense? Oh, that's right. It's not defense. Once again, he showed us his intent. He changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. That's his intent, is war. It isn't to defend. Right. It is war. Right. That is his intent. So crap on the name of No Kings all you want, but when you're trying to take over the world, you're kind of a tyrant.
So, yeah, and I mean, there were a lot of
we're taking Greenland, which he still wants. I am convinced he still wants.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, and there were lots of signs for no new wars, no whatever. I got a lot of pictures of signs that I hope will make it up onto the site somewhere. But
yeah, it's. Do
you have any like catchy and memorable signs that you remember?
Not really. I didn't really. I probably should have taken more photos of the signs. I was just more interested in the people.
Yeah.
I mean, signs are important because they kind of. A lot of times, there's a lot of humor in them.
Right. I think there were the two that stick out to me. There was a woman with a sign had a bunch of like the little fuzzy like craft balls that she had like stuck to her poster, and it said "balls for congressmen who since they have lost theirs." And there was the other one was a guy who had a sign that said "too mad to make a funny sign" or something. Those two stuck out to me.
Yeah.
But there were a bunch. Yeah.
Yup. Let's see here. Let me bring up the questions again. Because we talked about momentum without agenda for the most part.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily talk about Occupy Wall Street. Where were you going to go with that?
Well, I was using that as an example of a movement that didn't really have an agenda. It was also fairly grassroots, and about a week into it, with people camping out in Central Park or whatever, it was kind of like, well, why? Like,
the little girl standing up to the bull was an incredible move of them.
Yeah,
I'm just
so
saying.
Brave. Yeah,
that was like that. I mean, in terms of art, totally changing the bull of Wall Street to a little girl staring down the bull.
Yeah,
that was a stroke of genius in terms of of that. I mean, whoever the artist was who came up with that was like they were at another level.
Yeah, I have to look this up. I don't think I remember what this is.
What?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely pull it up. Yeah, there you go.
The Fearless Girl.
Yeah, the artist put the fearless girl in front of the bull of Wall Street.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Installed in 2017.
Well, that's when the movement was. Yeah.
Was it really that late? No, it was. It was right after the recession, wasn't it? Is my perception of time just like, or is this like Mandela effect? Like, I don't know.
It might be Mandela effect. Though I don't see Nelson anywhere. Yeah, fearless girl. That's her from another aspect.
Huh. No, but yeah, I mean, like the Occupy Wall Street thing, the whole Occupy movement, it really just, kind of came on real strong, and then people just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
And ultimately nothing changed.
But that's the thing. I mean, like what I was talking about, like with the contract with America. You really need. I mean, and you see these reps, and senators showing up to the protests,
right?
And speaking at the rallies.
Yeah.
But there's no concrete agenda on what I'm going to take from these rallies to Washington. That's what's missing.
Yeah.
And because, what was the quote from General Adama during Battlestar Galactica about why he came up with Earth? It isn't enough just to live. You have to have something to live for.
Right. Yes.
So by having a concrete agenda tied, saying that we're going to do this and this and this in response to this movement, and if we don't, vote us out. You are giving people They're no longer just against something, they're for what you're about to do. And I think that can make all the difference. That could at least get another seat or two in Congress, maybe even a Senate seat.
Maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of untapped political power just being lost. It's going to become static and forgotten about.
The thing, happens. Though, that, and you're absolutely right. I think the thing, though, that seems to be kind of lost, which, going back to talking about the demographics and the lack of youth showing up, I really feel like there's a lot of youth who are, view it as like cringe.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily want to show up because they don't want to be on camera and then shown on YouTube or canceled or, whatever.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if there was a No Kings 4 or any other protest, really, for anybody who's listening to this, regardless of what your political persuasion might be, I think the thing that really needs to happen to protect the future generations is take them to a protest.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get more people out and to see for themselves, like, that, just because it shows up on YouTube, the, people being violent or acting foolish or just, rioting, like, that's not what the vast majority of protests are.
Nope.
There's no reason to be afraid. Stand to be counted. Have your voice heard.
And what politicians need to also do is they need to be polling attendees.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Don't just go through your normal political, polling data, like
right.
wherever you go. Because you have to remember, I mean, everybody wrote off Trump in 2016.
Uh-huh.
They're like, yeah, he's a freaking joke. He's not gonna make it. But all the people who are showing up at his rallies, they were buying hats. If you're gonna buy a hat, you're gonna vote.
You're bought in.
You're bought in. You're gonna vote.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you show up at a protest, you're gonna vote. These are people who are definitely gonna be at the polls. These aren't the base. These are the Uber base. They are actually, that might not even be the term, because a lot of these people, I feel, are disaffected by the system. So they aren't the base. They can become a new base.
Right.
They are there for the harvesting. But in order to do that, you got to give them something. You can't just show up and speak at a rally. You got to have an agenda. I hear you. You say you're against. I hear you. You are against this. Here's what I'm going to do.
Right. Something to rally around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There needs to be the give and take. I hear you. This is my response. This is what I'm going to do going forward. And some of the stuff, I can see saving for the election. So that way, you're campaigning on it or whatnot. And they get the vote, which means people have to wait. But there are certain things that are more urgent than that need a response now. And if they see you responding to that stuff now, they're going to vote for you later on. So, I mean, it's very, very, very frustrated. I mean, I think that's part of what the right doesn't get, is that the people who are going to No Kings are actually frustrated with their leaders and with the Democratic leaders.
Yeah.
They are not.
Definitely, yeah.
They are just as, not maybe as much as they're frustrated with Trump, but there's a lot of disappointment that they see in terms of what they want versus what's happening, which is really not much. And to a certain extent, I understand their plight, because there is only so much that a minority can do in Congress.
But it really feels like, as minority constituents are concerned, like, they're not even doing the bare minimum. But whatever.
That you can't really see it because they're in the minority, and that's
sure.
and that's the thing. I mean, maybe when you're in the minority, you need to look at it through an inverted lens, to where your blacks are white and your whites are black. Because what's Congress doing? Nothing. Well, maybe then we are actually pretty effective in the minority. You know, I mean, I'm not in Congress, so I don't really know. Maybe that's a question for a congressman sometime.
Yeah.
Should we become big enough to get a congressman on here?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's being a congressman, I think, is a much harder job than people realize. And,
absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
Yep. All right. So what are your final thoughts, my friend?
I mean, I think I kind of gave them already. I think, bring a friend to a protest.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
that's my takeaway. Bring a friend to a protest. Please, as Americans, let's become politically active again. I know it's easy to be scared into silence, but the truth is, I was reminded recently or read recently about how the Berlin Wall fell. It was really just it's like just fascinating.
Oh yeah.
So
if I remember right, there's some miscommunication that was going on.
Yes.
And there was an opportunity that just kind of spontaneously occurred. And
yes, this like Soviet commander, they were going to relax some restrictions on people crossing from East Berlin into West Berlin.
Right.
And so he went on the news and started talking about how they were I can't even remember. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he wasn't specific enough. And the people who heard it, the East Berliners who heard it, were, really, I guess on either side, thought like this meant the wall was coming down. So they went to the wall en masse, thinking that the wall was coming down. And literally a week prior, the guards at the wall had shot like a dozen people who were trying to cross.
Yeah.
But this crowd was huge.
Yeah.
And they were motivated, like they were not going to be stopped. So rather than being mowed down by machine gun fire, they were allowed to pass, and they tore down the wall themselves.
Yeah.
Through this, like this lucky, happy accident, I guess you could call it. And so I think the thing to remember, my takeaway from No Kings, is you're a lot stronger than you realize.
Yeah.
We're only strong together.
The power of the people is stronger than the people in power.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My uncle, he brought back pieces of the Berlin Wall. He was stationed in Wiesbaden.
Wow.
I don't know where they are now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a couple of rocks for a longest time. I had pieces of the Berlin Wall.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I used to carry it around everywhere.
I hope you find them somewhere.
I hope I do too.
Yeah.
I'm sure they got thrown out along with a few Legos and other things that my mom threw away while I was at school, cleaning my room. I'll always blame her.
Yeah.
Even if she's not at fault. Because that's what kids do.
Yep.
Even if I'm 52.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway?
My takeaway. It's similar to yours. And I would also add that it isn't just politicians that should be polling people. If you're curious and you're on the opposite side of the aisle or in the middle of the road or whatever, go to one and just ask questions. Just make sure you don't do it in a condemning way. Don't start off with something like, you haven't had a king since 1776. Why are you out here? Stupid. Because that's what you might not say stupid, but that's what they'll hear. That's what they'll feel. Just say, hey, look, so I'm an independent. I haven't really made up my mind on what I think of everything. So I see everybody here protesting. So I just want to hear your perspective on why you're out here, and why you feel it's important to be out here.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you. And I know they'll tell you. You know why I know they'll tell you? Because they've shown up.
Right.
I mean, a protest is part of a greater conversation. And so they should be happy to have a conversation on a smaller scale. Right. And any protester who doesn't want to have that conversation, why are you protesting then? it isn't enough to win. You got to win over.
Mm.
And, that's where true victory is to win people over.
Right.
If we can win over people in power, that would be absolutely incredible. We have a handful of them obviously on our side, but, I think that there's opportunity for this to cross party lines. I think No Kings is more politically diverse than people realize and how it's portrayed.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, the Fox News coverage was absolutely horrible. We didn't even get into the coverage of this. Fox News coverage was horrible. I mean, they were railing against old white people being angry. That's your demographic. It's it's like, dude, you do know your demographic, right?
Right.
But nonetheless, and they were busting on it. But I mean, just have some conversations. I think that's really what I would want. Yeah. And my takeaway also is that I want something more. I want something focused. I mean, it's great to be able to stand on the grassroots, but you need to be able to form a tree. You need to be able to bring some focus and aspire to something higher. So, that's where I'm at.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. So, I don't have a joke or anything. I doubt you do either. But,
I don't really have one.
I mean, but it isn't that type of episode. But
no.
So, here we are at an hour 10 talking about this. And, I think it's been a pretty good discussion.
I agree. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and wrap this up.
Yep.
No essay, obviously, this time. And if you like what you hear, please give us feedback. If you don't like what you hear, please give us feedback. Although we do like hearing ourselves talk, we like hearing your feedback better.
Absolutely.
And we like ourselves. We love you. So by all means, get in touch with us. Get in touch with us. If you have ideas on how to improve the show, I'd love to hear it. Please like and subscribe wherever you hear us. And also for the footage, please come to our website. You will definitely see the footage I captured of the march going down Market Street and photographs from the Bandshell and Frederick. And you'll see Julius's footage as well from Westminster, both video and photo. Yeah. Oh, by the way, how many people did you say you think were here in Westminster?
I would probably guess, I think it's probably around like 1,500.
Yeah, so a similar turnout.
Yeah. But the one of the organizers I talked to said the last one was between 1,000 and 2,000. So if this was definitely bigger than that. So it could have been as many as 3,000. I'm not, it's difficult to estimate crowd sizes. So
I'd love if they could also get some funding for some crowd counters.
Yes. Yeah.
Get some independent numbers here. But because I mean it's a political movement, so there's going to be some propaganda involved.
Right.
Crowds are always going to seem bigger than they are for the organizers, and they're always going to seem less than they are for people on the opposite side of the aisle.
Right.
So, hopefully 8 million is accurate. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Some of the organizers said 8.5. Definitely more than 7. But we need 12. That's 3.5% of the population.
3.5.
Yep. So, all right. Well, yes, please come to the website and get in touch and all that. And we will see you 2 weeks from now. Take care.
Have a good one.
You have been listening to The Ascended Project. The Ascended Project is a production of Monocracy Audio, LLC. Any information expressed in this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for expert information. We are human and ordinary people, and as a result, what is presented as fact may be in error. Monocracy Audio, LLC and this podcast hold no liability from events or damages that result from listening to or reading this podcast or its associated materials. All articles, interviews, and sound files are copyright Monocracy Audio, LLC, with all rights reserved, except Our awesome theme music is by Alexei Chitulin. His music can be found on pixabay.com as well as Spotify underneath the pseudonym Lexin Music. Thank you for listening and have a great day.